Um, it's been a fucking week for both Chris and myself. So cheers to that.
Yeah, and of course, speaking of it's been a fucking week. Apparently, I forgot to actually have my volume level in the actual opening. So yeah, guys, how's everybody doing? I am just screwing up tonight, left and right, but whatever. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Who Cares Anime podcast. I'm your host, Chris Dohmen. This is my co-host, Kees Cornelisse.
Hey.
Uh, God damn.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a week and a half, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff has happened. On the plus side, though, I have a new phone. That was because this week my old phone broke and died. Uh, to be fair, it had been broken for a while. There was a crack in the screen for a while, and for some reason, for a while, it had actually survived until this week. And then my screen just completely died, and I was like, "Fuck, fuck, 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 fuck! I need a new phone instantly." And
Mm,
that happened to me at work at 8:30 in the evening. So of course, no phone shop is open, so you can't do anything at that point. I got one the next morning, which is essentially an improved version on the phone I had. So it's bigger and better, and it's awesome. Yay for that.
there you go.
But yeah, I did have a little bit of a freak out moment the moment that I figured out my phone was dead. So that's not awesome. Other than that, I'm good. I'm drinking. I hope we have a good show. Hope all of you guys are having a good night. I can't speak right now. Let us know in the chat how you're doing.
Exactly. And hopefully you guys can bring me some good news because it just feels like this week I have not been seeing a lot of great news.
um,
And to start things off, we just want to give nothing but love to our good friends over at Collider Video who kind of suffered a 1-2 punch this week because Mark Ellis, a longtime host of Collider Movie Talk, which Case and I have both said we haven't gotten a chance to really stay caught up with. But for the bits of
I
movie
watched it
talk,
for a very long time, and then I stopped because I didn't have time.
yeah, exactly, and Ellis, the bits I have seen of your hosting movie talk, you ran that ship like a goddamn pro, and
You did.
congratulations on your new opportunities coming your way. Congratulations to you and Harloff on all the continuing success of the Schmoedown, which yes, guys, after this show is done, our reaction will be going up.
Yes.
And without giving any spoilers, what the fuck?
Without giving any spoilers, I'm just saying so far 2019 is off to a great start in terms of the Schmoedown.
Absolutely.
And I'm loving every second of it. So look out for the reaction.
Yeah, exactly, guys. Look out for that reaction. It's gonna be nuts. And what I'll also say is, again, speaking of our friends over at Collider, they also did suffer a tragedy. Mark Riley, who I would say is a friend of the show, even though only one of us has had the luxury, the pleasure of getting to meet him.
I would still love to. He
Exactly,
seems like a great guy. He
he
really
he,
does.
he's a wonderful guy, and Riley unfortunately
Uh,
lost his longtime companion Cal, his wonderful yellow lab, which you know. It doesn't matter how old a dog or a cat or any pet is, because a pet is more than just a pet. They're your best friend.
Especially a dog. I mean, there's a reason that they call a dog man's best friend. They really are. Like, dogs are loyal. They love you. You love them. And you can literally see it. My parents have two dogs who I, of course, grew up with because, well, the oldest is 11 now. And that's a pretty good age, actually. And he's still alive, healthy, happy. So that's good. So I'm happy as long as he's with us. But yeah, I know the reality is that one day he'll pass away and it will destroy me. So, as someone who's already had the misfortune of losing a dog, I feel really bad for Riley. I hope he gets over it quickly. So yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, it's not easy because, especially not easy for you because, you know, like that dog was with you in some of your darkest time, you
Yeah.
know, and that's
That dog was with all of us. He showed up on the shows, and I always loved those moments.
I mean, hell, he was a big part of the Schmoedown storyline at one point, you know,
Yeah.
because damn it, Kalinowski, you
Damn
whole.
you, Mike.
See, and that's why I never want Mike to succeed because he messed with Cal. You don't mess with Cal.
Don't mess with the dog.
But, um, you know, just to Riley and Julie, you know, nothing but love and support to you guys, and I hope,
I hope you get a new dog soon, and I'll love you as much as Cal.
fair enough, fair enough. And speaking of all the tragedy, boy, oh boy, oh boy, this one hurts me, but I think it'll sneak up on Case how much this kind of sucks for him, because one of the truly great actors of the last 50 years, Albert Finney, has sadly passed away as of yesterday. Um, who did die from an illness. Didn't quite specify, but that's still not the best way to go out, even if it is at 82. And he's best known for his work in films like Annie. He was Daddy Warbucks. He was the old version of Hugh McGregor in Big Fish. He was Dr. Hirsch in the Bourne series. He was the old caretaker in Skyfall. He was a title character in Tom Jones.
Right.
He was Scrooge in the 70s Scrooge musical with Alec Guinness. I mean, this guy has been around the block.
Yes.
And, I mean, he was a 5-time Oscar-nominated actor for a reason. So,
Did he win any?
sadly, no.
That is a sin.
That
That
is
is a sin.
That is a sin, and I actually have a feeling that maybe the Oscars might sneak him a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award.
Would be nice.
That would be very nice. I would certainly say that. The cool guy, I see you are in the chat. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing tonight? Jonathan Peck, good to see you also as well. But yeah, no, and guys, if you guys are familiar with Albert Finney, why don't you leave in the chat like one of your favorite performances of his? Because for me, I always go back to Big Fish.
I haven't seen a whole lot of his work, but the few minutes he is in the Bourne Ultimatum, he counts, and that's awesome.
And that's just
Because
that's the gravitas.
yeah, no, that's true. Because the Bourne Ultimatum is one of my favorite films. Period. It's in my top 50 of all time. One of my favorite action films, and yeah, he shows up towards the end, revealing to Jason Bourne who he is, what he's done. But yeah, like he's a good character actor from what I gather from that and Skyfall. Like he embodies a character well. And yeah, 5-time Oscar nominee. Wow. Most impressive. It does at least seem he has had a great career. Yeah. So at least he had that. That's good.
It does just suck.
Rest in peace.
It just does suck the way he went out.
You know? Which is
he basically was just sick, and because he was getting that old, his body just shut down. And as I mentioned, just I hate when that happens because people, in my opinion, don't deserve that.
No, they don't.
But what are you gonna do? So, moving on to the next story we've got here. Now, this could potentially put a smile back on our face a little bit. Case, you happen to love this little film from 2014.
15.
Festival run was 2014.
Festival run in 2014, but official release in 2015.
Yes. You love this little film called Kingsman: The Secret Service.
Do I? It's in my top 50 of all time. I own the Blu-ray.
I think you do. And to be fair, like I really enjoy the film as well. I don't necessarily. I just came to it late, so I think that's why I'm not like goo goo gaga over it.
But I also came to it late. I also was after everyone has seen it and was buzzing about it.
I didn't see it for the first time until like right before I saw the second one.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, because I'll be completely honest, it just didn't look that interesting to me. And then, granted, I was proven wrong because it's a really fun film. But then we had, of course, the second one, and it sucked.
And it sucks. It's garbage. It's like so bad.
So that's why I'm nervously looking forward to this third film in the franchise, a Kingsman prequel that's once again directed by Matthew Vaughn, whose track record. Okay.
No. Look,
pretty
Matthew
much
Vaughn.
Anything he does that's not comic book is the stuff that I really love. The comic book stuff is fine.
Look, Matthew Vaughn is a great director and he loves his comic book movies. It's just that he should never direct sequels or prequels. He should never direct more than one movie from a certain franchise. Because Layer Cake is great. Stardust is great. X-Men First Class is great. Kick-Ass is great. Kingsman is great. Kingsman 2 is not. Kingsman prequel, I am so doubting this movie.
Even with this announced cast of Aaron Taylor Johnson, Gemma Arterton, Matthew Good, and Tom Hollander.
I like Tom Hollander. That's it.
Oh, no love for Kick-Ass. Okay, fair enough.
No, I like Kick-Ass. I do like it. I just don't think Aaron Taylor Johnson, besides Kick-Ass, has shown that he is great. Godzilla, Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I like him as Quicksilver.
No, I don't. Evan Peters all the way. Evan Peters, so much, by far, not even close, no contest. You suck.
To be fair, Evan Peters had more to do and he was given better scenes, but in terms of better performer, I'll always give it to Aaron Taylor Johnson. But that's neither here nor there. Because I'll be honest, as far as the story goes, again, as someone who was too late for the hype train of Kingsman and then just despises the second one.
I do too, though. I saw it in the theater, in IMAX no less, and I hated it, and I haven't seen it since, and I haven't had the desire to go back and watch it, because I really did hate it.
I'm sure I'll have to watch it, because I'll have to study it for trivia or something, but I
farts.
Yeah, but who knows? Who knows, Case? Maybe you'll have to someday. Hey-o.
Farts.
All right, fine. Let's move on to the next story. So James Gunn's kind of a man of controversy.
No controversy whatsoever. He has never tweeted or posted anything that was harmful. No, he is completely harmless. He is a great man. He should do everything in this life. He should host the Oscars. Wait, what? Oh no! Wait, That's not James Gunn.
now I kind of want to see that. I'm not gonna lie. How I have James Gunn direct the Oscars? See how that turns out. That'd be wonderful. But speaking of Mr. Controversy here, there is a recent confirmation confirmed by one Chris Pratt, who of course everybody knows from the Guardians of the Galaxy films. As
also
Star-Lord.
Avengers.
Yeah, no, I'm still mad at him.
Look, I do think that a lot of people know him, not for the right reasons, but people do know him because of that.
I'm still mad at him.
Lego Movie.
Yes, which I will probably see the second one finally next week, so I'm really looking forward to that.
We'll get to it.
Because they are playing it right here, but it's gonna be a fun time.
Got that reference.
You're welcome.
And
that was my one.
Yep. Everybody gets one.
Just like Spider-Man said to Peter Griffin. Anyway, what I think I'm going to I'm definitely gonna try to see it in IMAX if I can, because I'm sorry, that color scheme and those effects in 3D, I'm looking forward to Lego Movie 2. But back to the main topic. So Chris Pratt actually confirmed that the script for Guardians 3, they are going with, James Gunn's original script for it, even though Disney tried to say that they weren't possibly going to go with it, and then, like, sources were saying that they were, sources saying that they weren't. So I'm just saying, I just put it out there just to get that whole debacle done and over with. Finally. So, Case, do you have any cares for Guardians 3 after the quote-unquote huge-ass disappointment that was the waste of time known as Guardians 2 in your case?
Well, that's the thing. I absolutely love the first Guardians. It's one of my favorite comic book movies. It's one of my favorite movies. It is a delight in every way. What James Gunn did with it is amazing. How the Guardians returned in Avengers Infinity War continued that. But there is a movie in between that featured the Guardians, and I was not a fan of. I haven't been a fan of in several rewatches. I think I've seen the movie 3 or 4 times now. I really don't like the second one. And I really am doubting what a third one could do. And the second one, both the first and the second Guardians, are James Gunn's creations. So if James Gunn is continuing the third, I don't know what to expect. Am I to expect more of the first or of the second? Because if it's more of the second, no thanks. Really, I don't
Well,
want
to
to.
be
I don't
fair,
want that.
he's not directing it. It's just
No, no,
his
no. I
script.
know it's his script, but regardless of that, I don't care who gets on for the directing. I care who has like the say in what the Guardians do next. And I really do think that James Gunn might be or might not be. I'm really split about it because there's one amazing movie that I love, and there's one movie that I consider one of the worst MCU movies, like worst three. So I really don't know what to expect from this. What I just hope is that they get people on who understand these characters, like the Russo brothers, because the Russo brothers got them in Infinity War. Infinity War showed what the Guardians were in the first movie. We need that, not whatever the second movie was. So we'll see.
See, now, and it's funny because I'm on the opposite spectrum where I honestly think both of them are just fine, because I think the cast is fine. I think the effects are fine. I think the directing was
You
fine.
suck.
It's not my jam, dude.
It's Star Wars as MCU. What is not to like?
A lot, actually.
You suck.
Guys,
let me know in the comments and in the live chat why Chris sucks and why his opinion sucks.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, it's just because for me it was a case of overhype, a mass case of overhype, because everybody was saying, "Oh, this is the newest thing since The Dark Knight. Oh my God, this is the best comic movie since The Dark Knight. Oh my God."
No, it's not. But
It's
it's still a damn great, fun movie.
It's well made. I'm not saying anything negative about the competence of the film. I'm just saying I'm not the person who's gonna put it in his top 10 of MCU films. So
wow.
On the other hand,
top 10?
Not even close.
Wow.
Sorry. All right, but no.
Drink and spill your beer.
Yeah,
like.
There we go. Yeah, no, and so I'm actually a little more excited because where I do think the films both had their strongest point was in the script.
Interesting.
Because for me, the performances, half the time they elevate the script. The other half the time they way detract the script. And
The best performances are still from the voice actors,
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. Especially because the most powerful emotional scene in any MCU movie before Infinity War maybe was "We Are Groot" and Rocket's reaction to
See,
it.
see. For me,
Okay, that's my
one
opinion.
of the best scenes in those films is Michael Rooker with Rocket.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Not even that scene. It's the I know exactly who you are. You are me. Like that's a
Mm,
powerful scene.
that's good.
Too bad it came out of Guardians 2, where they just had to botch so many potential great moments with dumbbell jokes. But that being said, and look, like I said, guys, this film's not necessarily for me. And Jonathan Pack, I get it. And cool guy, thank you for being on my side somewhat. I appreciate it. But and leave your guys' thoughts on the movies in the chat as we move on to the next story, which this comes as no shock to anybody, I'm sure. And that is the X-Men franchise finally, after 20 years, is now officially on hold after New Mutants. This is coming straight from Fox because of the merger with Disney. They're not trying to make any new films, which, to be honest, I'm okay with it. Because this could provide us with a great opportunity to properly introduce the X-Force and just jump straight in. Because that's where Deadpool was trying to go. That's, and X-Men, they had nothing left to tell after Dark Phoenix.
No.
So the way I see it, I am actually very happy to hear this news. Case, thoughts on no more X-Men after New Mutants?
I'm not entirely sure because the X-Men is one of those long-running franchises in comic book movies that I've actually liked since I was a kid. I watched the first two X-Men movies before The Last Stand came out, and I loved both of them. Then The Last Stand came out, and I was a
Oof.
kid, and I enjoyed it, you know? Then I watched it recently, and it's not that good. It really is not. um, However, I have still remained following the X-Men franchise as good as it or as bad as it was, because yes, I did see X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it sucks. It still does. There is nothing good about that movie, and it should not have been made. However, it did cause for some good things. Um, then you get X-Men First Class, such a great movie. Then you get X-Men Days of Future Past, arguably the best X-Men movie yet.
Bar none.
Then you get X-Men Apocalypse, which was okay.
It was fine.
It was nowhere near Days of Future Past, but it wasn't that bad, to be fair. Also, in the meantime, it spawned Deadpool, which, I mean, Deadpool, that is the direction that X-Men should go in. And honestly, after X-Men Apocalypse, I am not looking forward to Dark Phoenix or New Mutants. I don't think any of those movies have any potential. I don't want to really see them, even though I should, because this is one of those franchises I've been following and loving for years, since I was a kid. So I'm just like, it probably is smart for them to hold off and to just rethink what to do, because yes, what they should do is continue with X-Force. The X-Men stories have been told. We have 6 movies so far, and if we also include Dark Phoenix in it, that'll be 7. Then we have New Mutants. Then we have 3 Wolverine origin or 3 Wolverine standalone movies. We have 2 Deadpool movies right now. We have plenty of X-Men stuff, and the X-Men stories have been told. If you want to dive into X-Force, continue that with Deadpool, because the Deadpool movies are great. Look, regardless of what you think of the second one, I love it. It was successful, and it is what this franchise should continue to do. And that's where X-Force goes. So I hope that they can just recover from New Mutants and Dark Phoenix, because they will probably not be very successful. and then figure out, continue with X Force, and make that a success. I hope they'll do that.
And that's pretty much how I am with you on that one. Because like they're running out of stories outside of X Force. That's really the only place they have left naturally to go, because they've done just about everything you can with X-Men, the original trilogy, and then the prequels. And god damn it, quit making it
Hey,
sound like Star Wars.
no. They're prequels, but they're arguably the best prequel trilogy ever made.
Apes.
Oh, right, Apes. Sorry.
I was gonna say, sir, you take that back.
Okay. Days of Future Past is arguably the best prequel ever made. Continue.
There's an argument.
There's an argument. I love that movie. I watched it yesterday. I love it.
Yeah, despite the fact that the director is a unforgivable, irredeemable
Let's not
piece
talk
of
about
shit,
the director. The movie is great.
Fuck it, I'll rant on him. Fuck it, I don't care. Fuck you, Bryan Singer. Fuck you, you piece of shit.
Yeah,
anyway.
Fuck you, but your movie is great.
Yes. You know, fuck you, Kevin Spacey, but you're still one of the greatest actors of our time.
You are.
Anyway. Well, speaking of people who have completely lost their minds and are completely swallowed up their own ass, why am I so intrigued with this movie? So, Case, just hear me out. You have a PC, right?
No, I have a PC.
Smart ass. Okay. So you have antivirus software to protect it, right?
I damn well hope so.
Okay. So imagine, if you would, a guy who, in this case, will look like Michael Keaton, who
Yay.
created, essentially, antivirus software for PC. That's a software technology that will make you billions and billions of dollars.
Franchise. Oh, wait, that's a different movie that he's in.
Which was also really good.
It was a really good movie.
Now, picture, if you will, this guy who created this software and decided, you know what, I love being a billionaire and whatnot, but I'm going to cash in my money and I'm going to go live in Belize. Out of all Latin American countries, I'm going to go live in Belize. I'm just going to go fuck off in the middle of nowhere. Except for the part where I have, you know, my own private army and I have, like, all this other crazy shit that nobody can get to, except for, in this case, a journalist played by Seth Rogen, of all people.
Yikes.
So this movie's called King of the Jungle, and I'm interested as fuck to see this movie.
The only thing that's scaring me is Seth Rogen. I'm not a fan of him.
See, usually I'm not either. But
The Disaster Artist was awesome.
The Disaster Artist was awesome. So lately, Seth's been starting to prove himself, and that's why I'm willing to give this movie a shot.
That's the thing. Like, my biggest issue with Seth Rogen is essentially he is himself in every movie.
Yes.
And there's no range, really. The Disaster Artist, well, first of all, his role was small. Second of all, there was at least some kind of acting that he did. Yeah, but other than that, like, Seth Rogen usually is just himself in movies. Yeah. And that's what kind of bugs me. Other than that, this does sound interesting.
So, you know, and especially for someone like me, because from the way that they describe how Keaton has himself set up, essentially it's like a more comedic version of Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now, where it's this crazy, like, fortress place where he has, like, security personnel that are armed to the teeth, and there's just, like, crazy animals everywhere. It's like, no, this sounds like my kind of weird. So I'm hesitantly excited for King of the Jungle. So we'll have to see. Speaking of other new movies coming out, so do you guys remember a while back when I went on this stupid tirade about how I thought the Cats adaptation coming this year is the worst fucking thing ever?
I remember.
Because it still is. But speaking of Broadway hits that have made billions and billions of dollars through runs and reruns all across the world. This one I'm actually very excited for. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Wizard of Oz. I adore that movie. It's one of the best movies ever made. It's a movie that came out 80 years ago, and it still holds up. That's the power of filmmaking, folks. And
that's the power of good filmmaking.
Yes.
There is a difference.
There's a difference, to be fair, but this is filmmaking at its peak. I mean, and this is why I will always advocate for classic cinema, because they actually had to try back then.
Yeah, these days they don't.
Exactly, which kind of bums me out. Which is why I keep advocating for you to check out some classic cinema, because some of it is still crap, but, and you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll get there.
I don't know. I really don't know.
But so about 25 years ago, there was a book entitled Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West, which was essentially just a backstory for the Wicked Witch. And it actually caught on real fast. And then, of course, 20 years ago, or roughly, or was it? No, 2003. Right. So, oh, God, that was almost 20 years ago.
16.
Anyway, still, that was a while ago. Anyway, so back in 2003, there was a Broadway adaptation that was written by Steven Schwartz, who, I swear to God, he has done pretty much everything you can imagine. He's worked with Disney. He's worked with DreamWorks. He's worked with everybody across the board. But he put together this little adaptation that at the time starred a little voice actress named Adina Menzel, Adele Dazeem, something like that.
That's an Elsa?
Yes. Same actress. So this was her official rise to fame. Now, obviously, she won't come back and play the Wicked Witch because, well, it's been a few years. But there's something about her backstory which essentially set her up as, which sets up the wizard as this oppressive, apartheid-level douchebag Hitler type, and sets her up as the tragic hero who has to do terrible things to get the point across. So this has me really interested to see what they can do with it. In case, that's fine. If it's not really for you, fair enough. I will happily move on.
I am just, in this case, I just apologize for not having fully seen The Wizard of Oz. I got the gist of it. I have seen big parts of it. I know what the movie is about. I haven't fully seen it, and I don't really have interest in doing that. I'm sorry. So, continue.
Like I said, we'll work on it. Anyway, so our last news story before we go to break, and hopefully Mr. Regoli will be home so we can actually come on to talk about the thing that both he and Kees both said to talk about tonight. Come on, Nico. Don't keep me waiting forever. Otherwise, if you guys have any questions in the chat, feel free to shoot them on in, and if we need to do a little bit of filibuster, I'm more than happy to do that. But our last story for the night. Now, Kees, remind me, you did see Captain Phillips?
No.
Ah, come on, it's your favorite, Paul Greengrass, Mr. Bourne Ultimatum himself. But
look, yes, he did Supremacy and Ultimatum. He also did Jason Bourne.
Which I thought it was fine. It
was fine, but it wasn't what it should have been.
Oh, boy. I was going to say, cue a joke of every Force Awakens basher right here who said the same thing about Force Awakens. Anyway, but yeah, so Tom Hanks and Paul Greengrass proved to be a really powerful combination in Captain Phillips, and now they're teaming up again for a road trip movie set on the American frontier of the late 1800s, where Tom Hanks will essentially play this guy who is kind of like a news courier, where he goes around to random villages and just tells people what's going on in the world. hence that's actually the name, News of the World. And then part of his journey is he has to help this little girl who's lost her entire family, which, boy, doesn't that scream a family picture. And now they have to go find what's left of her relatives after encountering, like, Indians and crazy animals. It's like, this sounds fun. Plus, it's Tom Hanks. Can he do any wrong?
No, he cannot. Oh, wait.
I swear to God, do not go there.
The Robert Langdon movies.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, never mind. Yep.
I'm sorry those movies suck.
Oh, no. They are terrible.
They shouldn't have been made. Tom Hanks should not have signed on to them.
It's the franchise that almost killed Ron Howard for me.
Almost. Then he did Rush. Thank you. But Paul Greengrass can be good, especially if he's just doing something original, something he likes, something he has a passion for, and hopefully that this is that thing, because like him returning for Jason Bourne was essentially obligated, like, oh, it's Paul Greengrass and Matt Damon, it should go well, blah blah blah. It made a shit ton of money. It was that good of a movie. Tom Hanks can do no wrong if he has the right director, and I do think Paul Greengrass can be that director. So considering those two names and considering the story, this could be a great movie.
I was about to say, it almost reminds me of crap, what was that actually really underrated flick from a couple of years back? Hostiles, there we go. With Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike.
Not seen it.
That's fair. Well, to be fair, again, that's also not really your genre, Westerns.
Definitely not.
And I shall forgive you of your transgressions another time. But until between now and the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back right after this, guys. Please don't go anywhere. Keep the conversation alive. And while we're waiting, bring up some of your favorite TV shows, because you know what?
Yes.
If we have seen them, I'll give my thoughts happily. So
if we haven't seen them, we'll give our thoughts regardless.
Or at least attempt to. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
Hey everybody, Joe Findlay here from Miscast Commentary. Have you been along for the ride while we've been doing the MCU commentary marathon? If not, where the have you been?
We're going to watch it the way you would have experienced it when you go into the theater.
Yeah,
and that's how
and you would have experienced it with two assholes talking through the whole thing.
Yes.
The only person who can see the true scope of this is Galactus. He can see the end.
Yes.
That's it.
So think about that, nerds. She knows who's the boss in this house.
She's the Angeler.
Angela.
We all know Angeler was the boss.
And he is Tony, so we
exactly.
Get the
oh my God.
This is so
well.
Join us every Friday as we present a new full-length commentary for another Marvel Cinematic Universe movie.
This has a little bit of Oz in it too, I think. Like not the prison, the wonderful world of
Miscast Commentary. Join us or don't. I'm not your mom.
And you're
Ethan Irwin, the champion, defending in New York. Dan Murrell gets a chance to become the 3-time champion.
If you're already at the $10 tier, you'll get the live event for that night. You can watch it for $2.99 the night of. You don't have to be a patron.
Season 6 is going to be bigger and better than anything you've ever seen.
You want to see Murrell versus Irwin for the title in New York?
Ethan Irwin did something that nobody in this league has been able to do.
Be ready, because I'm bringing my A game.
And Chance Elliston goes up against Janine the Machine.
Janine the Machine about to shut this thing down.
I'm not intimidated, not one damn bit.
Schmoedown Live, the battle for New York begins. Let's get ready to Schmoedown!
Boy, isn't that just embarrassing when you date yourself by showing your break from 2 weeks ago and not updating it? Oops, sorry. All right, but guys, we are back. It is the Who Cares Anyway podcast, and we're going to do something that we don't really do that often around here, and that's talk about TV. Because, well, it's not exactly the first thing you think of when you think of either of us, I presume, right? Think of Kees, you think of being angry and Star Wars, and you think of me, you think of sarcasm and Star Wars and music, but
Star Wars has TV shows.
Fair. And I've actually seen them all, much to my own chagrin. Ugh.
Hey.
The Ewoks cartoon was just not that good. It really wasn't.
I stick to the canon ones. They are good. All of them.
They are good. Not great.
At least good.
Yes, at the very least, all of them are good. But yes, we are back. We are live. We're talking TV, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus because I'm guilty of this myself. But when you can properly communicate that, oh, hey, I might be a little late coming back to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. But that's okay. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to be too much more of a dick about it because he'll probably be back here in a couple of minutes. Then we'll just have him on the call, and then we'll really dive into this. But I'm looking at the chat, and I'm seeing a lot of you guys talk about your personal favorite TV shows. And I think, you know what? While we potentially wait for Mr. Suave, in case I was thinking, why don't we talk about a couple of these? At least the ones that you and I have seen. So, first one, the cool guy brings up, which one that I know you and I have both seen, How I Met Your Mother. Let's talk about it.
How I Met Your Mother, for actually some people, it is their favorite TV show. I have met my girlfriend has it as her favorite TV show, which is why she made me watch it. Essentially, of course, that she made me watch it is essentially like, oh my god, I had to see it. No, that's not true. How I Met Your Mother is a great show for 8 seasons, not 9. Do not ever watch the 9th season. You will kill yourself.
I still haven't.
So yeah, do yourself a favor. Watch 8 seasons of How I Met Your Mother and stop. And do not be curious. Do not even think you want to see the 9th season because it only will set you up for disappointment. I really like the show. It is in my top 10 TV shows of all time because it's really funny and there are really good characters, really good character arcs throughout the show. It's just, oh my god, I cannot imagine a worse ending for that show. I really can't.
And at the risk of spoilers, I'm just gonna cut you off right there. While I take a moment to talk about How I Met Your Mother, and Malcolm Lay, welcome to the chat, man. Always glad to have you here. And yeah, give us a couple of your favorite shows. I saw that you mentioned the Schmoedown, and we'll talk about that.
You could consider that as a TV show.
I absolutely consider the Schmoedown a TV show. In fact, I consider most YouTube series shows that like add episodes regularly as a TV show. At least I do. Back in the days when that sort of thing mattered. Absolutely. Hold on. Just make sure we didn't get an update from Mr. Regoli.
We do.
Oh, God. I'm going to kill him. But
hey, we were early with our break.
This is true. We were early with our break, so because we went through the news a lot faster than I thought we were going to be. So that's fine. That's fine. How I Met Your Mother.
We're fine now.
I came across that show with a friend of mine from college recommended it to me, and I turned it on, and I just couldn't turn it off. I binge watched the entire thing, seasons 1 through 7, like that. And the first thing I noticed is, for better or for worse, I am Ted. And it was especially true at the time back then.
Yes. No, you are, though.
I am.
His favorite movie is Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But this was especially true back then because I was Ted. My roommate, who was a guy, was Marshall, because literally he was from North Dakota. He had all of Marshall's mannerisms. And
no, but wait, Marshall is so Minnesotan.
We do not talk like that. We do not talk like that. We do not talk like that. But and my other roommate, she was absolutely Lily in terms of personality. She was Lily. And then my brother Matt, at the time, was very much Barney. The only difference was he never wore a suit. So in that regard, I was like Barney, but although personality-wise, I know I'm Ted, and I embrace that. I accept it. But what I also found really interesting is I did have a Robin, and I technically still do have a Robin.
Oh, dear.
And yes, I don't know how the show ends, so please, guys, do not spoil it in the chat for me. I would greatly appreciate it.
Let's not.
But what I do also have to say is I hope that once I can finally make my season 1 finale with her happen, we just don't get to season 2 finale. We just stay in like mid-season 2 for the rest of our lives. That would be ideal, I'd say. Anyway, moving on. Another show. Oh my gosh! Wow, everyone's giving their shows
a lot.
Now.
Yeah,
this is good. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it immensely. All right, Boy Meets World. I'll quickly mention this one. I adore.
I like it.
Oh, good. So we can talk about it. Yes.
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
I liked it. I saw it when I was a kid. So I haven't seen it forever, but I liked it when I was a kid.
Absolutely. And oh shit, hold on. Okay.
Yeah, the foam.
Damn foam. What are you gonna do? Yeah, literally. And again, me and my brother, we are Ben and Corey. Corey and Sean. Wow. I was thinking of the actor. My bad. Ben Savage and Hunter, whatever the hell his last name is. But yeah, my best friend, we're Corey and Sean, and his fiancées are Topanga, and it's just one of those relationships that you can identify with Corey and Sean as like yourself and your best friend, and everything that those two go through, you yourself will go through with your best friend at some point in your life, and that's just it. It's one of those wonderful things about that show that I just found so endearing. Now, again, not to throw him under the bus too many more times, but Nico will be coming into the call. So, guys, this chat is going to look ugly for about 45 seconds. So, forgive me. Forgive
us for, Skype.
I'm going to have to fix this on the fly, but
we'll see.
Here we go.
Experiment.
It's going to be an ugly experiment. But here we go. Hi, Nico.
Hi, Nico. What are you doing?
I'm now officially deaf from the ring of that Skype call going directly into my ears.
Well, sir, you have only yourself to blame.
Yes, you do.
I'm just gonna do this lying in bed because I'm exhausted.
I can imagine from the adventure you had today that you forgot to tell me about. Thanks.
I didn't think it would go that long. I thought I did let you know, but I because I said I won't be able to react to the match, but I figured I'd be back in time for the podcast.
That. We just had no idea what the hell you were doing.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, you were just playing with yourself, but you know.
By the way, that is not a bad excuse.
Kids, keep that in mind. If you need a good excuse for to get out of something, just say you were playing with yourself. That's how you do it.
Like seriously, if you're talking to guys about guy stuff, playing with yourself is a good excuse.
Are we live right now, or
we are live
right now? We were talking about How I Met Your Mother.
Did you see that show?
I saw bits and pieces of it, but I didn't follow it the same way other people would religiously. It was just like one of those things that like I wasn't motivated to really get into. How I Met Your Mother. There were other shows I was into. How I Met Your Mother was just not one of them.
All right, fair enough.
That's fair. And then we were just talking about Boy Meets World. Do you have any experience with that show?
So I have experience with the spin-off Girl Meets World.
Okay, then you and I can talk about that real fast because I came across it by accident and I dug it. I really liked it. So guys, thank you for bearing with us while I am fixing this on the fly. Thank you.
Yes.
Again, I am sorry for my tardiness. Shit happens. But yeah, for those who don't know, Girl Meets World is the spin-off of Boy Meets World. It follows Corey and Topanga's daughter Riley, their son Augie, and Riley's best friend Maya. And like Riley and Maya have sort of the same dynamic going on that Corey did with Sean, but also it's very different in that it's a new age that differs from the one that Corey and Sean grew up in. And Corey is now essentially fitting the Mr. Feeney role.
Essentially, yeah.
And
he said weenie. Sorry, that's so funny joke.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this show, and I'm upset that it ended when it did, because I feel like there was potential for, if it were to air on a different channel other than Disney Channel, season 4 could have really gotten into that mature area that made Boy Meets World so popular.
True.
And you know, for what they had to deal with, Girl Meets World made mountains out of that molehill. And I feel like the potential for them to do even bigger things was great. Like they brought up what is religion's place in this current time period we live in for one episode. They brought in living like the odd dynamics of relationships and like, am I really in love with you? And if so, how am I in love with you? In what way? Maya, essentially, she's living Sean's story in that she also had to deal with a parent walking out on her, and it's very interesting to see that story told from her perspective. And her dad even at one point tries to get back into the picture, and like she rejects him at the end because like you made me not feel good about myself, but really I didn't need you.
Plus,
that way. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I got the analogy out there.
Fair enough. I was just gonna say to build off that for just 2 more seconds. Sean and Katie, just pitch perfect couple. I adore those two as a couple.
I love how they brought the two shows back around in that way of like, you know, Sean. He lived Maya's story, and then essentially he becomes her actual father. I love that dynamic.
Stepfather, but yeah. All right. So now that we're all set, the stream has been fixed. Now we can talk about our shows. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about. Let's give our thoughts on 2 more shows from you guys real fast. Because you mentioned this for the thumbnail potentially. Nico. So I'm gonna let you talk about this for just a moment. BoJack Horseman. I still have yet to get into it, so tell me why I should real fast.
So, BoJack Horseman. I'm sorry, I'm so tired I can't talk.
That's
but
fine.
BoJack Horseman, it's unique in that it's a serious story told in the most comedic way. It basically talks about mental disorders and depression, and like Hollywood actors struggling to find their place after like their prime has passed them. But it's told from the perspective of a horse with human anatomy parts, and Will Arnett is the voice of BoJack Horseman, and like
that
first
is
of all,
great.
Will Arnett.
Wait, you mean
he's
Ken
basically.
Knapsack?
No, that's you. You're Ken Knapsack.
This is true. This is true. I am
No.
fake Ken.
Look. Will Arnett should voice anything.
And that's the point I was about to make, is that Will Arnett, anything you put him in, animated or live action, he basically kills it. Like he knows how to do his job well. And BoJack Horseman is like one of the perfect mediums for him to really show his range as an actor, as crazy as that sounds. And they've gotten through 5 seasons, and you wonder, when is BoJack finally going to be happy? And is he ever going to be happy?
Well, and as someone who, yes, big shock, I suffer from depression. That's the question that you'll never get answered. Because technically speaking, once you have the diagnosis, you will never be happy again. It's just a matter of what you choose to do with said diagnosis upon getting it.
And for the most part, BoJack has been doing every wrong thing possible. And it's not until like the most recent 2 seasons where he's at least trying to figure things out. And just when you think he's finally got it, he takes a step back, and so that's very realistic. Like, it's crazy that in this world where animals can talk and have like human body parts, it's a very realistic depiction of what you've probably struggled with, Chris, and what many others out there struggle. I like it.
Okay, fair enough. So, and then one more show that, Case, I know you and I could nerd out about forever, and if we could ever get this gentleman who happens to share the same birthday as me on the show, my life would be complete. That is the creation of Mr. Doug Walker himself, the Nostalgia Critic.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Honestly, one of the first people I got into that really dove into movies and the review of film, but also from a comedic angle. And
yes,
that's what made his channel so intriguing, is that he was giving legitimate reviews, because I grew up on Ebert and Roper, Siskel and Ebert, and granted, they came at it purely from the, artistic point of view. Doug Walker still did that, but my God, his approach of just ripping a film to shreds sometimes was unmatched. And I've learned a lot about film criticism just from watching his program and then finding out what inspired him so I could go learn from that.
This is true. Yeah, I have followed the Nostalgia Critic for years, so many years. He has done almost anything that you could do with film review. And yeah, he does very extensive, mostly comedic reviews. And he actually directs, writes the episodes he's in. He stars in them usually, of course, because he is the main character, the Nostalgia Critic. He created a character to do his reviews. Because, yeah, you have those reviewers, you have a lot of reviewers who are just themselves talking about movies. What the Nostalgia Critic does is he goes one step beyond, if you would believe it. Now, that's a reference. If you watch the show, of course, you'll know, which I very much like, because he rips a film completely to shreds, and for that, what you would need to do is completely study a film, even the bad ones, which makes me very interested. What if he would finally introduce himself in the Schmoedown, get a match to compete? Because I think
and even
that
better, Christian, I hope you're listening. This is a team that needs to happen at Celebration.
Yeah,
Undercard.
Doug and Rob Walker.
The Walker brothers.
Yes. Because seriously, those guys seem to so delve into movies, it is not even funny. The way that they dive into movies, and even the garbage ones like fucking Avatar The Last Airbender or Catwoman or Star Trek Insurrection, they have done it all. They have delved into every single movie for it. And seriously, not all their movies that they review are bad movies. They have openly admitted that they reviewed movies that they actually do like, but still, like, it just comes back to... That's the thing. It can be made fun of, and it comes back to the nostalgia factor, because that's what this character is. The fact that they created this character is great, and it works so well, and I think that most of his videos are very funny, very on point, and do actually... that's the thing. Like, if you actually go into why he hates or makes fun of certain movies, then you get why. And that's something that I really appreciate about most of his videos. Like, he might have reviewed movies that I like, but I still get... Like, for example, he hates Man of Steel. I love Man of Steel, but I get where he's coming from, you know? I get why he doesn't like that movie, even though I disagree with him. I do understand his criticism of the movie, despite the fact that he does like parts of the movie, which is also a good thing. Like, at least he's honest about that when he has a movie that he doesn't like, but there are parts he likes, he'll be honest about that. And also, like, Revenge of the Sith. I think in various videos he essentially said that he likes that movie simply because he says that there are a lot of redeeming qualities about it. And so that is good. And that I like. That I'm very happy that he is that honest about it.
Yes,
so I'm always looking forward to more of his reviews, regardless of what it is.
Now, Nico, how familiar are you with Nostalgia Critic and Doug Walker?
I'm not.
Okay, fair enough.
Get on it.
Fair enough. Well, to be fair, there's a lot. Oh my God.
That's the thing. There's so much you can get into.
Yeah, and now there's 11 years worth of content. Oh God.
You're old.
Yeah. Because I don't mean to be a hipster, but
you were watching it before it was cool, weren't you?
I'm one of the original fans.
Same.
Wait, how long before Nostalgia Critic has to review the Nostalgia Critic?
He already has. He's already reviewed.
Yes, he has. He definitely.
He's actually reviewed his own films.
Interesting.
Very. But okay, so now like I said, now we got the full panel here. Nico, just so that I can finally give you a little time to actually talk outside of just about BoJack. So there were two shows that you asked to be put on the thumbnail, and Kees graciously obliged you. Would you like to bring one of them up?
So I only see one of them on the thumbnail. I can't really see the other.
So yeah, and just a heads up, guys, everybody. So the shows on the thumbnail are Game of Thrones, South Park, The West Wing, Lie to Me, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Okay.
Funnily enough, my top 3 shows are on there.
So first,
that is just a coincidence.
First, let me go with the one that both of you are probably going to be positive with me on, and that is the show Lie to Me.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, never mind then on that regard. But
I haven't seen either of your shows. I'm sorry.
So when Lie to Me was on, I was pretty young. I can't remember if I was in middle school or high school at the time, but
2009, if I recall.
So I was either just, I think I was just like finishing middle school at the time, if not starting high school. It's late. I'm tired. I don't feel like going through memory lane bit by bit. But anyway, when the show was on, I was very young, but I was getting into a lot of mature shows because that was a way I was bonding with my parents. Like, mom and I, we would watch Law and Order SVU sometimes. We would watch Till Death. Lord knows why we watched Till Death. But one of the show, but basically, I was watching the adult networks and their mainstream lineups. And one of the shows that really caught my eye was Lie to Me. And just the premise itself, people who study facial expressions, tone of voice, bodily movements to determine whether or not someone is lying, and then relating that to solving crimes and figuring out who done it. That premise in and of itself is very interesting. Then you throw in the subplot dynamics of like the main character played by Tim Roth. He has an ex-wife who's also in the field, and I think it's because of the field that they work in that like the marriage did not work out, and their daughter is like slowly getting into their field of work as well. And it was just one of the best things Fox had going on for about 2 years. And then they decided, nope, we're going to cancel this because we like giving Till Death a spotlight.
So was it canceled too soon?
Yes, it was. It was canceled too soon. And ever since it was canceled, I've been on the bandwagon for like, there needs to be a season 3. It may not involve the same cast as the first time. Like maybe we focus on the daughter now because it's been so long since. But I feel like this show should have gotten a 3rd season, and it bothers me that it never did.
That makes sense.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry, guys. I hear the words "lie to me" in a sequential order, and instantly I think of a classic 1994 Johnny Lang song, and then I have to pick up a guitar, and I just have to strum 2 chords, and then just pretend I'm singing. So, sorry, guys. All right. Case, while I put my guitar away, why don't you get started on your first pick?
Well, I'll go with my second favorite show of all time first, which is arguably the best show ever made. And that is simply because of its production design. Production, directing, acting, score. Everything about this show stands out. It is Game of Thrones. You see the Targaryen logo behind me. You have seen me geek out about Game of Thrones so many times. It is probably one of the best shows ever, simply because of how it is made as a TV show. Sometimes I watch episodes in Game of Thrones and I cannot believe that I'm watching a TV episode because of how fucking goddamn amazing it is made. Now, everyone will have their criticisms about certain decisions made in the show, especially towards the later seasons. I know that the show writers had to take over from season 6. Season 6 and 7 are not the worst. Season 5 is. Why? Because that book is the worst. But besides that, Game of Thrones is such a solid, awesome show that has not really had any bad episodes, filler episodes, because what Game of Thrones always does, it is essentially it always continues several storylines at once. Hardly any episode is focused on just one thing, And the ones that are usually really great, like the Battle of Blackwater in season 2, or Watchers on the Wall in season 4, or the Battle of the Bastards in season 6. I'm not trying to spoil anything for the people here. That's the thing. Like, I'm just mentioning the names of the episodes, but like episodes that are movie quality. Honestly, seriously, some of these episodes. The directing and the score and the production design and the costume design and the acting and sound editing and the visual effects are better than most movies today. 90% of the movies coming out nowadays will not even come close to what Game of Thrones is able to produce. So regardless of what you think of season 5, 6, and 7, I know that they're not the most liked. They're still better than most of the movies coming out today. And this is why I'm so incredibly psyched for season 8 to come out in 2 months. Because it's going to be amazing. It's going to blow everyone away. Everything that will happen in season 8 is going to be mind-blowing and amazing to everyone. And it's going to be some of the best television ever. And yeah, it's why it's one of my favorite shows of all time. It is so goddamn great. So if you don't watch Game of Thrones, I don't know what's wrong with you. There are 2 people on this panel who I don't know what's wrong with them because they don't have
time.
They haven't watched this show.
It's a show that you literally can't afford to look away just to see if your dog isn't pooping in the wrong spot, because if you do, you'll miss everything that happened in the episode.
Exactly. So watch the show and pay attention.
Time, Case. That's the problem. Anyway.
But yeah, Game of Thrones is awesome.
So I'll give my first one, and then we'll do another round of shows that you guys have brought up, and then we'll do our final shows. And to give a little context to the first show I'm going to bring up, everything that Case just said is my thoughts towards the first show that I'm going to bring up. The only difference is, instead of David Benioff and D.B. Weiss doing this show, it is Mr. Aaron Sorkin's political masterpiece, The West Wing. Okay. Case, I know that you think the American political system is fucked beyond saving, and you would be right. But,
yes.
But if I were to recommend you a crash course so that way you could at least attempt to understand why things are as fucked as they are, this is the show I'd recommend. Because you want to know what it does? It gives you characters that you adore and identify with instantly. And plus, Case, you are so Toby Ziegler, it's not even funny. Anyway.
What? Character?
It's the same actor who was the army guy in Man of Steel. I can't remember.
All right.
Well,
wait. Is he the guy from Law and Order SVU for the longest time?
No, he's the guy from the second Jurassic Park.
Oh. I'm thinking of Lois Lane's dad. Then. No.
You are.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this show, what Aaron Sorkin did was he essentially did what Adam McKay pulled off in The Big Short.
By the way, wait, you just had to say Aaron Sorkin, and I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah,
because it's Aaron Sorkin. I love the guy.
The guy doesn't screw up very often.
Marla's game.
And that was purely from a directing standpoint, because
it was writing was on point, deserved the Oscar nom.
Yes, absolutely. And with The West Wing, what I just find so fascinating is it takes concepts that are just unfathomable to think about outside of the political game, but it treats you, the audience member, like you are a member of the political game, and it doesn't force you away. It invites you in, and it shows you what that world is like. Now, granted, is it biased? Of course, because it's all about a Democrat administration versus a Republican administration. But what Sorkin does so great that I also really admire him for is Sorkin remembers, oh yeah, Republicans are people too. And yes, they are. I give Republicans shit all the time.
Which they deserve.
And they deserve
it.
Yes, they do.
As do Democrats, let's be fair.
But true. Republicans deserve it more.
This is true. Thank you, Nico.
I try to play the balance game, so...
I don't.
But, but like I said, it's Aaron Sorkin. You can't go wrong. Now, the reason I'm not going to say too much more about it is because Sorkin himself was only involved in the first 4 seasons. Now, kind of like with Game of Thrones, seasons 5, 6, 7, they're not terrible. There's a couple episodes in there.
They're definitely not.
But they're clearly not as strong as what came before.
Yeah.
So, just keep that in mind if you do check it out, Case. Because, again, I think you actually would really wind up liking it. Now,
maybe.
Nico, you sound as though you're not really familiar with the show, so I'm a little curious.
I feel like I should check it out, but
yes.
I should too.
There's a lot in the HBO archives that I haven't had a chance to check out, and
all right.
And I will say though, when I get some free time on my hands, because this internship is robbing me of literally any free time I have now, I will definitely check that out.
All right, the cool guy. You brought up a show that, man. We're gonna go. Like I said, we're going back to you guys for just a moment here, because I want to talk about a show that I absolutely despise, and I'm very much in the minority. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh,
fuck that show.
My sister's gonna kill you. My sister's gonna kill you.
I don't care. Bring it on, Nico's sister, because the characters are so detestable, and they're not the kind of characters. They're not the kind of people that you love to hate. You just hate them.
Yes.
You straight up despise them and everything that they stand for, because they stand for nothing. They just stand for being a waste of celluloid.
Wasted all the time.
That too.
Wow.
Plus, Charlie Day is single-handedly the most annoying actor in Hollywood.
Probably. Chris, wow, we agree on this. I didn't realize, because yes, I hate Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I never realized that there was anyone else.
Oh,
that is amazing.
Okay, and to be fair, the cool guy, you did mean Philip DeFranco. Different conversation. I actually kind of like him.
Oh.
But
okay.
So sorry for the rant, but I'm glad I got that off my chest. So, all right, Jonathan Peck brought up a couple very interesting ones. This Is Us. Okay, I don't watch it because I don't want to cry like every other week. Okay, so. Sorry, guys. Nico, you seen it?
The lone episode of This Is Us I've seen is the one where the dad finally dies.
Okay, then, yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Nope. Case, just stay away from it. That's all I'm gonna recommend. This is actually a good one. Another one from Jonathan Peck. Frasier. Just real quick, I'm just gonna mention that I adore this show. Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Pierce are so wonderful. And even though, yes, they are just a couple of hoity-toity, I'm smarter than you, very condescending characters, they're still incredibly endearing, and I just love them. Plus, it's Kelsey Grammer. He's one of the best actors of all time, in my opinion. Hell, he was one of the few saving moments of X-Men: The Last Stand. So, well done, sir.
There were more saving moments about X-Men: The Last Stand, but yes, he was one of them. X-Men: The Last Stand is not that bad. Get over it.
It's pretty terrible.
No, it's not. It's okay.
You and I respectfully disagree. All
The
right.
nostalgia critic and you respectively disagree.
Well, ooh, why, Malcolm, look at you. You finally caught up with Star Wars Resistance.
Yay!
That's a show we can quickly mention for 2 seconds.
Yes.
I adore that show.
Yes.
Yes.
Same.
Yes.
We all do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
to be fair, I love all the canon Star Wars shows: Resistance, Rebels, and Clone Wars. They're all great, in my opinion.
They all have a lot of great moments. I just think if you had to put a gun to my head and say put them in a ranking order, at the moment I'd say Resistance at the top, then Clone Wars, then Rebels. Just because Rebels pissed me off a couple more times than I feel like it should have. Just because it had ideas that should have worked, but then just pissed.
You haven't rewatched it. Rewatch it.
All right, fine. Nico, tell me how wrong I am.
About Resistance? Yeah.
No, Rebels.
Oh. They're all great shows, in my opinion. Anything Star Wars on television is great. Even AP5, the singing robot in space.
Drink. There's no way you can defend that. Shut up.
At least in my opinion. Ooh, this is actually kind of interesting. Brian Nussbaum. He had brought up Jimmy Neutron, a show that I adored when I was a kid.
When I was a kid, yes. Ah, like
the series started off as a movie and then branched off.
Yes, it did.
And
with Patrick Stewart as the voice of King Gubat the Fifth.
By the way, I do wanna mention one thing, which is that I own all of Star Wars Rebels on Blu-ray, not Clone Wars. I am sorry, Rebels is my favorite.
Green alien fetish, we know. Anyway.
That's not entirely it.
It's a chunk, and you know it. You know I still love you, though, Case.
It's a part.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Blue Alien, pretty also.
Yeah, all right, fine. Okay. And then real fast, I do see a... okay. Well, I have to talk about it. I have to mention it.
Oh, dear.
True Detective Season 1.
He says Season 3, though.
I could swear I saw Season 1.
Season 3 just started.
In the chat, it's True Detective Season 3 that Jonathan Peck mentions.
Somebody mentioned Season 1. Oh, well. Anyway. Then I'll just quickly say True Detective Season 1 I found really enjoyable. I still have to watch Season 3, so that's why I haven't talked about that yet. But, Nico, did you watch True Detective at all?
So I caught the tail end of Season 2, which I know is kind of like it's universally thought of as the worst season of the show so far.
I'm not gonna say it's awful, but it's the weakest.
I distinctly remember Vince Vaughn walking through the desert with, I think, a stab wound and having hallucinations as he slowly died, and I was just like, okay, what's going on here? I'm a little confused. And granted, it's a Vince Vaughn performance, so that's always going to leave you somewhat confused, but
The Lost World did.
But yeah, I should probably check out the good parts of True Detective.
You should. And with that, I think that ought to about do it, because there's two very obvious franchises that I have not touched yet, because I'm going to wait till I have a chance to really sit down with possibly people involved with said shows to talk about them then. And, of course, yes, guys, those are Star Trek and Doctor Who, two things that I just...
I should watch Doctor Who.
You probably should.
Yeah, I should.
You know, because you love sci-fi.
Yeah.
You like time travel.
Terminator.
Never mind. Yeah, you love time travel.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, And here's the best part. I can guarantee you right now at which parts you will be immensely frustrated at, because they will be the same parts that I was immensely frustrated at. I'm kind of starting to figure out your taste, Case. I'm starting to figure it out.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
We've only known each other for 2 years, but we're getting there.
We're getting there. But yes, so Nico, why don't you get us started on the other show that you requested be brought up tonight?
Yeah, so before I get to it, I just want to give 2 honorable mentions to 2 shows that I realized, why did I not pick those while I was driving home, rushing to get here? And they are both shows on FX. One was canceled, but one, thankfully, is returning later this month for its 3rd season. The canceled one is Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll, starring Dennis Leary and Elizabeth Gillies. I really enjoyed that show, and I wish they could have worked something out for a 3rd season, just because I felt like the story wasn't finished yet, and they ended it on a very interesting place where you thought all the characters were finding their wits about them, and then they kind of take a turn back to their old ways, and oh no, I wanted to see a resolution, and I never got the resolution I wanted. The other show, also on FX, the one that is getting the 3rd season, is Better Things, starring Pamela Adlon. It's hard to describe what this show is about with words, other than it. I guess you could say it's about Pamela Adlon's experiences as a mom, and how just her kids, and how motherhood is interesting for everyone, and she doesn't have typical normal kids, and quite frankly, no parent has typical normal kids, and it just highlights that. It highlights the dysfunctionality, but also the normalness of the dysfunctionality of a family, and I really enjoy it. I'm curious to see where they go with this 3rd season, and I'm excited for it. Getting to my actual pick, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I will never understand it.
So some might see the comedy as a little bit generic, but I feel like this is Andy Samberg having fun, and it's been a while since we've gotten to see cops shown in a comedic light, at least on television. And
Ride Along, Let's Be Cops.
Yeah, but those are movies. Those are movies. I'm talking television here. Anyway, I love the wacky adventures these characters get to have, and there's romance going on in between there, but it's also a lot of tension that builds up over the course of several seasons. The captain, Raymond Holt, I love how deadpan he is throughout the entire thing. His ability to deliver the most hilarious lines and yet just not change his facial expression. That is true professionalism in the world of acting. And I love his ability to just be the straight man in it, which is ironic because he plays a gay man in the actual show. And also, every season they have the Halloween heist, and I love that particular episode because it's just okay, we're gonna hide something, we're gonna go on this wild scavenger hunt, and whoever has it by the end of the night is declared the best detective in the 9-9 precinct, and I just love that because you think you know who's going to win, and then they swerve it on you at the last second. And one of the and finally, just to mention another bright spot of the show without spoiling too much, thank you, Jonathan Peck, for reminding me of that. The character of Doug Judy, the Pontiac Bandit, played by what is his name? He hosted Last Comic Standing. I'm sorry.
Correct him in the chat. It's fine.
I'm tired. I'm really tired. But yeah, like the dynamic between Doug Judy and Andy Samberg's character of Jake Peralta, how they're rivals, but over the course of several seasons, they develop a unique friendship in which he's like, I should not be friends with you. You've broken the law. I should throw you in jail. But you also are such a really nice guy, and I want to be your friend. I love that dynamic. And every single time Craig Ferguson, that's who plays him, Craig Ferguson. And every single time Doug Judy swerves Jake Peralta at the last second and gets away, but he leaves him this the hilarious parting gift of like a video package of like, hey dude, I'm sorry I had to run out on you again, but again, I don't want to go to jail. I feel like I'm not doing the show justice with this description, but I love the show. I love the show, and I'm glad NBC was able to save it from getting canceled after Fox dropped it. Season 6 has been not great so far, but there's still room for it to get better with time.
And I think lest we forget the man responsible for saving that show, Mr. Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill has good taste.
Debatable.
Anything Mark Hamill is in is great. Or most things.
Go watch Slipstream, The Guyver, and oh god, what's it called? Rhapsody in Blues, A Street Kid's
I won't.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But he is a great.
Sometimes you gotta make a paycheck.
Hey, he still is a great Joker.
Yes.
He still is a great Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
He still is a great Firelord Ozai.
Which
we'll get into that.
we'll get there. We'll get there. But yeah, so Case, why don't you bring up the show that I know you are dying to talk about?
Apparently, I've been sitting in front of the poster for the entirety of the show. Going down to South Park, gonna have myself a time.
Friendly faces everywhere, humble folks without temptation.
One of the longest running shows in history of television, and it's still great. That is the most impressive thing. Look, I'm not saying that it is the best show. It's not. It has so many flaws. It has so many bad episodes, just not as good episodes as the rest. But when South Park is on point, it has me dying laughing. I can laugh so hard about mostly the political satire that they do, because they always nail it so on point. Because I saw the most recent season, and I remember we started up the first episode of the new season, season 22, I believe. Like, holy fuck, how many shows can say they have 22 plus seasons? Not a lot of shows. And I remember it was an establishing shot, as any in South Park, of the school, the elementary school. But now, in the background, we hear shootings because of the school shootings. And it was just the best fucking thing in history. I loved it so much. I laughed so hard at it because it is so true. Because while it is so fucking funny what South Park does, everything they do is so true to what is happening in either America or the world. Usually America, because Trey Parker and Matt Stone are like me, and they know that America has so many flaws that can be exploited, and South Park does it in the most brilliant way, and I have loved it since season 1. Because that's the thing. I am now also rewatching the very, very, very early seasons of South Park because, hey, I'm in a TV fandom title match and I should know this
Shut
stuff.
the fuck up.
But I should know South Park because it is my favorite TV show of all time. They have done everything right. Even their movie is in my top 5 of all time. I love the movie so goddamn much. Everything that South Park has done is just political satire and just show how funny real life situations can be, and also just sometimes when the world or of course mostly the United States, because Trey Parker and Matt Stone are Americans, and South Park is an American-based TV show, so mostly they will focus on America, but they will also focus on the state of the world. What I love about the show is that always they will give the right episode at the right time, at exactly the right time when you need it. Like, for example, what I love about, hey, we mentioned the Nostalgia Critic. The Nostalgia Critic made a top 11 South Park episodes, and his number one South Park episode is not at all what I thought it would be, and not at all my number one. But it is a great South Park episode, mostly of what it represents, because his favorite is Osama bin Laden has farty pants, season 5, episode something. I don't know exactly which one.
Something like that.
And it came out at exactly the right time, because it was the very first South Park episode after 9/11, and around that time we had 9/11, of course, which was a huge thing for Americans, and a lot of anthrax attacks throughout the U.S., which was a big issue as well. So because of that, they made Osama bin Laden has farty pants, which tackled both issues at once, and it did it so brilliantly that it just shows that South Park can sometimes also be a cure to whatever is happening in society today, which is awesome. That there is a show like that that can just lift you up from something that depresses you. And I love it. And yeah, I just love the show. It has given me a lot of great episodes, a lot of great content that I continue to watch even today, because even the later seasons, they're really fun. There might be some episodes which are not as great, but like what I do like a lot about the recent seasons is that they have an overall storyline that carries throughout the entire season, or even multiple seasons, and that is just so funny and so on point with what is going on. I mean, they tackled the Trump versus Hillary campaign. They're still tackling Trump because apparently
there's a lot to work with.
Well, there's a lot to work with, of course, but they made Mr. Garrison, out of all people, Trump in this show, and it is awesome, and I love it so much. So that is just one of the best things that they've done. And the fact that they're still able to go with great jokes, funny satire, I love it. So yeah, South Park is my favorite show of all time.
Fair enough. So, Kees, I'm going to ask your forgiveness about something ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm going to call a little bit of an audible, because a thought has occurred to me. There is a potential episode of this podcast where the three of us could get together and talk about my favorite show of all time for easily over an hour.
Yes. Easily.
So that's why I'm actually not going to bring it up.
Okay, do mention it at least, because
I will mention it.
Don't keep
and
people.
You see it in the thumbnail. It's the one show we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
And it's the show about so many fucking wonderful things. But at its core, it's about these young people who don't realize it when they start their journey, but they're about to change the world. And at a time...
They have to save the world.
Because long ago, the four nations lived together in harmony.
Then everything changed
when the Fire Nation attacked.
Yes.
Yes, big shock. Avatar: The Last Airbender is my favorite show of all time. And we're going to talk about it another time.
That's fair.
Because, like I said, all three of us could easily do an hour and a half on this show. We could do 3 hours on the show. We could talk about it for 24 hours if we need to. For like
we can do an entire watch along to the show and not be tired of talking about it.
No.
Because that show is that goddamn amazing.
It is.
It really is.
It is one of the best shows of all time. And actually, I will sneak in 2 more real fast from the chat. I saw that the cool guy, Jonathan Beck, and Brian Nussbaum all brought up Regular Show from Cartoon Network. It's good. It's funny. I like the characters, but it didn't really hit me emotionally, if that makes sense. So, sorry, guys. And then, Jonathan Beck, I see that you brought up Parks and Rec. Again, I get why everyone loves it. I don't really love it. Nico, you in Parks and Rec, is that a thing?
I did follow it, but for some reason I never got to the last season. But for season 1 is the one that people think you can throw out, and then everything from season 2 onward is where things really get good.
So kind of like Cheers, then. Okay.
I've heard good things though, but I haven't checked it out myself. Should probably at one point.
I know the cool guy, and I'm sorry again for you specifically, sir, but 30 Rock, I haven't watched enough of it to really develop an opinion about it. The episodes I have seen, I liked them because I like Tina Fey, I like Alec Baldwin, I like that guy who plays Kenneth, but I haven't seen enough. Nico?
Say the show again?
30 Rock.
For some reason, I never got into it. I think I've watched at least one episode, but I've just never gotten into it.
By the way, I do think that we should bring up one show that has been mentioned by the chat. I know we all love. It's just we're not going to bring it up right now, but we should talk about it. Family Guy.
See, it's a very complicated relationship. The first 6 seasons of Family Guy, in particular seasons 3 and 4, are some of the funniest TV of all time. But after season 6, I very distinctly remember I just fell off and would only catch an episode every once in a while, and then I have not watched an episode since.
Okay, so, I disagree with you on that.
There's a point I want to bring up, and that's that Seth MacFarlane said in an interview once that when a show surpasses 7 seasons, that's when it becomes hard for that show to find the same momentum it had in those first 7 seasons. That's when the decline officially starts. So, based on what Chris just said, Seth MacFarlane essentially predicted the Family Guy's own decline, because he was like, we've kind of hit our peak here, and now we're just kind of like stringing to the barrel with whatever we put out afterwards.
Well, I disagree.
And I'm more on Case's side in this case, because like I've still stayed committed to following Family Guy through and through. I probably am going to follow it all the way to its end, but
look, I don't think I've seen some of the more recent seasons of Family Guy, but I do know that I saw episodes 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, probably 12. And like most of them, I actually think season 9 is great. I loved season 9. There are a lot of great episodes in season 9 that I definitely enjoyed. I also think the Star Wars parodies, all 3 of them, not just Blue Harvest, because Blue Harvest. Look, Blue Harvest is the greatest out of all of them, by far. Not even a question. Something, Dark Side, still a lot of fun. It's Trap, Wild the weakest out of the 3, still a lot of fun. Shut up.
No.
So
no, I won't.
Okay.
It's bad.
Okay. No, it's not. But anyway, I still I like Family Guy up until quite a recent time. But yeah, the last couple of years, I just haven't I think I watched season 13 or 14 and started to realize, oh, this show is definitely not as good as it used to be. And then I stopped watching, and then I just lost interest.
The reason that I fell off with Family Guy was I hate sounding like a broken record. Just like with modern day film, they don't try. Because back then they crafted stories that were parodies of popular films and other TV shows, but they were clever about it. They used it to pay tribute, to pay homage, to pay love and respect to some of these classic things. Nowadays, if they do that, it's just to make fun of it, and there's nothing.
I do want to
pure.
I do want to bring up
parody.
season 9, episode 1, a two-parter, and then there were fewer. One of the greatest.
I hate that episode.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my. Okay.
No,
everyone yell at Chris.
No, because it's not well written. The problem is Seth was trying too hard to be exactly like the movie Clue.
Drink.
Please, by all means, that's what you do best. But
wow,
it wasn't. Well, plus half the people that they killed off, they had no reason to kill off. Unlike in Game of Thrones, where there's a purpose to everybody's death, usually.
Usually. Yeah.
There wasn't a purpose to Miriam dying. There wasn't a purpose to James Woods dying. There wasn't a purpose to Diane Simmons dying. There was no point to any of it. So unless they were going to pull that crap of it's all a dream sequence, it made no fucking sense. And I will stand by that.
All right.
So, sorry, Case.
Well, I like Family Guy for the most part, and I do think at least some of that show is some of the funniest stuff ever.
As I said, the first 6 seasons are some of the funniest TV ever made. Like those
also beyond those 6 seasons.
And that's where we agree to disagree.
Look, it's essentially the same as South Park. South Park, my favorite 2 seasons of South Park are 7 and 8, because 7 and 8 are
great seasons.
Yeah, like both of those seasons, at least most of those episodes are so on point and great and funny and original that it's like I don't know if they're ever gonna top those. However, after season 8, with South Park kept going, and at least in every season they did have a couple of episodes, not all of them, but a couple of episodes that were just so solid and funny and great that they still have it and they keep going, and that is the reason why a Family Guy and a South Park are still going, because both of those shows have those episodes
and
every single season that will just be so great. And you love it.
And even The Simpsons. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Is The Simpsons 20 years past its heyday? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yep.
But do they still have moments? Do they still have like that one episode per a couple seasons where it's just brilliant and funny and perfect? Yes. Does it happen as often as it should? No. However, the bottom line is, guys, we all love TV from time to time. Sure.
But every single TV show has its flaws.
Exactly. And, and in the case of a lot of shows, it's that they're too long, which is partially why in my own show that I'm trying to write, 3 seasons. That's all I need to tell my story.
Look, we didn't really talk that much about Avatar: The Last Airbender, and while it has some weaker episodes, the fact that it's only 3 seasons long, it's probably a good thing.
It's perfect. It is the perfect amount of story to tell. Partially because, story-wise, it is exactly Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. But that's okay. So, yes. And actually, one more show I will bring up super fast. Stranger Things on Netflix. I adore that show. I love the cast. I love these characters. Even though I'm not really a fan of a lot of, the super nostalgic 80s films like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Gremlins, yada, yada, yada. E.T. Ugh. This is that.
Eh.
This is. This is a version of those movies I can get behind. Why? Because, like I said, the characters are great. The atmosphere, the score are great. The scripts are tight. The dialogue is perfect for the 80s. And, well, Mike and 11 are a super cute couple. What can I say? I ship it. I'm a shipper. If you're a shipper, this is your show.
If you're a shipper, Casantora.
I feel like in your case, Chris, you've gone past shipping. You're basically a yachtsman now.
Very low, Kazora stuff.
Yes. And not even ashamed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat. You guys have all been awesome. Next week, we'll be back, and let's get that chat even bigger next time. And let's get some more people in here. So, guys, all that I ask is that you like the video and you share it. Just put it, if you could, please. If you're liking this, put it on your Facebook or put it on your Twitter. And let's keep this conversation growing. Let's get this show bigger guests because, well, we might have somebody coming on in about a month, and I think you're all really gonna like him. And then a week before that, you might like her, who might be coming on. Even though Case won't because he really hates this woman, but you know, we'll just have to see where this goes. But until then, guys, once again, thanks for tuning in. Case, where can the good folks find you online?
Apparently hitting some woman. I don't know. I'm suddenly wondering who it could be. Anyway, you can find me at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter, Kees Cornelisse on Letterboxd and Facebook. You can find me competing on Multiplex Entertainment against the Arkham Knights with this guy over here, and soon to be
don't even.
I am in a TV fandom title match, and you can suck it, Nico. I'm in that thing because I won against you. Too fucking bad for you. Suck it up. Whenever that will go up. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Nico Suave Regoli, where can the good folks find you online?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's Nico. Fuck off. NICOSUAVEREGOLI. You can find me here on Dedicated to Art, except for next Friday because I'm finally going to Thon. So, yeah, all that fundraising we've been doing is finally going to pay off because we're heading down to University Park and we're going to have a good time. But back to the plugs. Combat Wrestling Network with Hunter Chambliss, and over on Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is just Multiplex. Buy our awesome shirts. And if you're still awake after this is all done, I'm going to be doing my own Schmoedown reaction alone, which will be uploaded to this channel if Chris feels like editing before he goes to bed.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I kind of want to.
And I think I'm still in charge of Schmoedown reactions, so I don't know if I want that. I'm sorry.
You're drunk. Who cares what you want? Go to sleep.
Ouch. All right.
I beat you twice.
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, and Letterboxd at Skywalker Dome. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. Please like our Facebook page. And like I said, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and please share it. But you guys can, if you guys would do me a favor, if you like hard rock and metal, go to my personal YouTube page, check out my brand new song, Don't Give Up, as well as stay tuned on Monday when I'll be dropping a little thing, a little something for Collider Live, a little sound clip I think they're really going to like. But until then, guys, you know what to do. Take care.
Yeah.